Don't overlook your dimes. Some Roosevelt and Mercury dimes hiding in change can be worth far more than 10 cents. Rare dates, mint marks, and even small errors can turn these coins into treasures worth hundreds or even thousands. Check your pocket change. You might be holding a valuable dime right now. The 1983 United States one-dime coin might seem like an ordinary piece of change at first glance, something that passed through millions of hands in gas stations, grocery stores, and parking meters across the country. But for collectors, 1983 stands out as one of those interesting years where small details, overlooked by most people, turn the dime into a treasure worth searching for. While the Roosevelt dime has been around since 1946, and billions of examples exist, the 1983 issue has its share of surprises, particularly in the form of error coins and high-grade survivors that have stunned collectors at auction. The story of the 1983 dime is about more than its design or mintage. It's about rarity hiding in plain sight, and the way a small coin can capture both history and value. To understand why this dime is important, let's look at its design. Since its debut in 1946, the Roosevelt dime has honored President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had died the previous year. His profile faces left, with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the date and mint mark. On the reverse is a torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch for strength. Around the design are the words "United States of America," "E Pluribus Unum," and "One Dime." By 1983, this design had already been struck for nearly 4 decades, yet it remained as recognizable and symbolic as ever. In terms of mintage, the 1983 dime was struck in massive numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Philadelphia produced more than 730 million, while Denver struck over 730 million as well, bringing the combined total to more than 1.4 billion coins. On the surface, this makes the 1983 dime extremely common, and in circulated condition most examples are only worth face value. But as with many modern coins, the details lie in the exceptions, and that's where collectors start to pay attention. One of the major reasons the 1983 dime has collector interest is tied to U.S. mint policy at the time. In 1982 and 1983, the mint did not issue official uncirculated mint sets, which normally provided collectors with high-quality examples of circulating coins. As a result, finding 1983 dimes in pristine, uncirculated condition is much more difficult than for other years. Collectors who want gem mint-state examples must search through original rolls or bank bags, making high-grade coins significantly rarer. This has driven up demand for top-condition 1983 dimes, particularly those graded MS-67 or higher. At auction, such coins have sold for impressive sums, often hundreds of dollars, because collectors know how elusive they are. Error coins make the 1983 dime even more intriguing. Mint errors are unintentional mistakes that slip past the quality controls of the mint and reach circulation, and they can range from minor curiosities to dramatic rarities worth thousands. Off-center strikes are among the most collectible for this year. These errors occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that is struck off-center. Depending on how much of the design is missing, such errors on a 1983 dime can fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s, especially if the date is still visible. Another error type seen in 1983 is the broad strike, which happens when the coin is struck outside of the retaining collar. This creates a dime that is slightly larger in diameter with a distorted rim. Collectors love these odd-looking coins, and they often sell for $40 to $150 depending on quality. Clipped planchets are another dramatic error, where part of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck. These pieces, with their distinctive curved clips, can command strong prices from collectors who enjoy adding unusual shapes to their collections. Double-struck and multiple-struck 1983 dimes are even more spectacular. In these cases, the coin was struck more than once, sometimes with noticeable shifts in alignment, creating overlapping or ghost-like images of Roosevelt's face or the reverse design. Such errors can sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. Wrong planchet errors, where a dime was struck on a blank intended for another denomination such as a cent or even a foreign coin, are incredibly rare and can be worth thousands. Proof coins from 1983 also deserve mention. These were struck at the San Francisco Mint with the S mint mark, sold directly to collectors in annual proof sets. Proof 1983's dimes were not struck for circulation, and they feature polished planchets and specially prepared dies to create sharp, mirror-like fields and frosted details. Deep cameo examples, which show strong contrast between the frosted devices and mirrored fields, are particularly valuable. In perfect PR70 deep cameo condition, 1983's proof dimes have sold for hundreds of dollars, reflecting their rarity and collector demand. Auction records provide some of the most compelling evidence of the 1983 dime's desirability. For example, a 1983 P dime graded MS67 by PCGS sold for several $100s because of its scarcity in such high grade. A 1983 D dime in MS68 has sold for over $1,000, showing just how much collectors are willing to pay for top-tier examples. Proof 1983's dimes in PR70 Deep Cameo have crossed auction blocks for $300 to $500, while dramatic errors like off-center or multiple strikes have sold for anywhere from $200 to well over $1,000 depending on the severity. The story of the 1983 dime is a perfect reminder of why collectors love coin hunting. While billions were made, the challenge of finding one in pristine condition or with a rare error keeps the excitement alive. For everyday people, a 1983 dime might not seem like much, just 10 cents, but for collectors, it can represent a piece of numismatic history and a hidden fortune. Imagine holding a dime that once rattled around in someone's pocket during the early 1980s, only to later be discovered as an error worth hundreds or even thousands. That transformation from pocket change to prized collectible is what keeps the coin collecting world so fascinating. It proves that hidden treasures are still out there, waiting in rolls, bank boxes, or even tucked away in a family coin jar. The next time you see a dime from 1983, don't just dismiss it as ordinary change. Look closely at the details, check the mint mark, examine the strike, and consider the possibility that you might be holding something much rarer than you realize. With auction results already proving that pristine and error examples of this coin can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, the 1983 dime is one of those small but mighty pieces of American coinage history that continues to surprise collectors today. The 1990 United States one-dime coin might seem like the most ordinary piece of change you could find in circulation. Most people toss it into a vending machine, let it slip between couch cushions, or ignore it entirely in the palm of their hand. But for coin collectors and those who pay close attention, the 1990 Roosevelt dime has proven to be a coin that carries surprising stories, valuable minting errors, and rare examples that have sold for far more than anyone would expect. While tens of millions of these coins were struck for circulation, certain conditions and minting mishaps have turned an everyday dime into something worth hundreds, thousands, and in some cases, astonishing auction prices. The design of the dime in 1990 remained the same as it had since 1946, when John R. Sinek's portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt was first introduced. On the obverse, Roosevelt faces left with liberty to the left edge. In God We Trust placed beneath his chin, the year of mintage, in this case 1990, tucked neatly at the lower right and the mint mark just above the date. Sinek's initials, JS, are found at the base of the neck. On the reverse, the Torch of Liberty is flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, across the top, E Pluribus Unum, in the center, and one dime at the bottom. It's a design that has stood the test of time, simple yet powerful, honoring Roosevelt and embodying freedom, peace, and strength. The 1990 dime was struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, the Denver Mint struck coins marked with a D, and the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins carrying the S mint mark. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were made for circulation and exist in the hundreds of millions, while the San Francisco proofs were specially struck for collectors with polished dies and mirror-like finishes. For most people, a circulated 1990 dime is worth face value. But in the world of coin collecting, condition and error varieties change everything. The San Francisco Mint, for example, accidentally released a number of proof 1990 dimes without the S mint mark. These so-called no-S proof dimes are extremely rare and highly sought after. A single example of the 1990 no-S proof dime sold at auction for over $20,000, and other high-grade examples continue to sell for tens of thousands of dollars whenever they appear. It's one of the most famous modern mint errors in American coinage because proof coins are supposed to be perfect, and the absence of a mint mark was an unmistakable blunder that slipped through the mint's quality controls. Beyond the proof errors, there are circulation strike errors from 1990 that grab attention as well. Off-center strikes are popular among collectors, where the design is visibly shifted and part of the coin is blank. A dramatic off-center 1990 dime with more than 50% of the design missing can sell for $150 to $400 depending on its condition. Broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar and ends up spreading wider than normal, are another eye-catching error from this year, often valued at $75 to $200 in high grade. Double die errors are always worth hunting for, and while there is no headline-famous double die from the 1990 dime, minor examples have been discovered where the date, lettering, or torch on the reverse shows doubling. Coins with clear, strong doubling in uncirculated condition have sold for several $100s to eager collectors. Another category of 1990 dime errors that collectors dream about is wrong planchet strikes. Occasionally, a dime was accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination or even a foreign coin. These are instantly recognizable. Perhaps a 1990 dime struck on a cent planchet, making it smaller and copper-colored, or on a nickel planchet, making it heavier and silver-toned. These rare mishaps are valued in the thousands, and when they hit auction, they become the stars of the show. High-grade regular issues from 1990 can also surprise collectors. Most circulated examples are scratched and worn, but mint state coins with full bands on the reverse, meaning the horizontal bands across the torch are fully struck, are worth far more. A 1990 dime graded MS-67 with full bands designation can easily fetch several $100s, while the elusive MS-68 examples are worth even more. Registry set collectors, who compete to own the very finest examples of each date, are willing to pay thousands for coins at the very top of the grading scale. Proof 1990 dimes with deep cameo contrast also bring strong premiums. While most proof coins are common and trade for only a few dollars, those graded PR70 deep cameo, absolute perfection, can sell for hundreds. And of course, the famous 1990 No-S proof dimes are the ultimate prize from this year, with values climbing far higher. Auction history has provided fascinating insights into the market for this coin. A 1990 No-S proof dime once realized nearly $35,000 at a major sale, a staggering price for a coin with a face value of 10 cents. High-grade mint state 1990 dimes have sold for $1,000 or more, especially those with full bands designations, and dramatic off-center errors from this year have brought several $100s. These results remind collectors that the difference between a common dime and a valuable rarity often comes down to details invisible to the untrained eye. What makes the 1990 dime particularly engaging is how it demonstrates that even modern coins can carry immense value. Collectors sometimes assume that only old coins, those from the 1800s or early 1900s, can be worth big money, but the 1990 dime proves otherwise. With the No-S proof errors commanding tens of thousands of dollars and circulation strike errors selling for hundreds or thousands, it shows that vigilance pays off, even with pocket change from recent decades. For collectors today, the 1990 dime offers both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge is that most examples are worth only their face value, making it easy to dismiss them. The opportunity lies in finding those rare gems. The off-center strikes, the broad strikes, the double dies, the wrong planchet errors, or the flawless high-grade coins. And, of course, the opportunity of discovering a proof 1990 No-S dime remains one of the most thrilling possibilities in modern numismatics. The lesson here is clear: never underestimate small coins. A dime may be worth 10 cents in most circumstances, but under the right conditions, it can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Every coin carries a story, and the 1990 Roosevelt dime carries a story of a routine design, massive mintage, but also a handful of minting errors and high-grade survivors that transform it into something extraordinary. So the next time you're sorting through your change, or you come across a jar of old coins, don't just pass over the dimes from the 1990s. Look closely at the date, check the mint mark, and pay attention to the details. Because hidden among the billions of ordinary coins are the rare ones that collectors dream about, coins that have crossed auction blocks for staggering amounts, turning the most overlooked denomination in American currency into a star. The 1999 United States one-dime coin is one of those fascinating pieces of modern pocket change that most people overlook without a second thought. Yet for collectors, it has proven to be a year full of intrigue, hidden treasures, and in some cases, truly extraordinary errors that turned a 10-cent piece into a coin worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. The Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for over 50 years by 1999, and its familiar design had become so common in daily life that hardly anyone stopped to think about it. But when you take the time to look closely at the details, the quality of the strike, and especially the possibility of minting errors, the 1999 dime transforms into something far more captivating than just spare change in your pocket. To appreciate why the 1999 dime matters, let's step back for a moment and remember the history behind it. The Roosevelt dime first appeared in 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death. Designed by John R. Sinek, the obverse featured a dignified portrait of Roosevelt, while the reverse displayed a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. By 1999, this design had been in place for more than half a century, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. Unlike the quarter, which in 1999 was undergoing a revolutionary redesign with the launch of the 50-state quarters program, the dime retained its classic and familiar look. The 1999 Roosevelt dime was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins bear no mint mark, Denver coins carry the D, and San Francisco coins with the S mint mark were struck only for proof sets. Billions of circulation strikes came out of Philadelphia and Denver, while San Francisco produced far fewer coins for collectors. Because of these large mintages, regular 1999 dimes are extremely common and, in worn condition, worth only their face value. But condition and rarity play a critical role in elevating the value. In uncirculated grades, especially in high mint state designations, the 1999 dime becomes more desirable. A typical mint state example might bring a small premium, but coins that grade MS-67 or higher are far scarcer and command stronger prices. Collectors who pursue registry sets, where the goal is to assemble the finest possible collection graded by companies like PCGS or NGC, drive the demand for these top-level coins. An MS-68 example with brilliant luster and sharp details could sell for well over $200 at auction, simply because so few exist in such pristine condition. Proof coins from San Francisco are also highly collectible, especially when they achieve the grade of PR70 Deep Cameo, which represents absolute perfection under magnification. These flawless proofs often bring $50 to $100, sometimes more, depending on demand. But what really makes the 1999 dime stand out are the mint errors and varieties, which can catapult its value from ordinary to extraordinary. Error coins are the result of something going wrong during the minting process, and the late 1990s saw some fascinating mistakes slip through the presses. One of the most exciting varieties tied to the 1999 dime is the close AM versus wide AM reverse, which is better known among Lincoln cents but occasionally connected to dime discussions because of the transitional errors happening around this time. While the dimes did not experience the exact same variety, the buzz around mint variations in the late 1990s caused collectors to pay closer attention to all denominations, and some sharp-eyed individuals found double dies on 1999 dimes. Doubling can often be spotted in inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or in the torch details on the reverse. Strong double dies can sell for several $100s, particularly in uncirculated grades. Off-center strikes are another dramatic and collectible type of error found on 1999 dimes. When a blank planchet isn't properly centered during the strike, part of the design lands off to one side, leaving a portion of the coin blank. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, these errors can fetch anywhere from $50 for mild examples to over $300 for dramatic ones where the date remains fully visible. Broad strikes, where the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking fails, produce a coin that spreads wider and flatter than normal. These odd-looking 1999 dimes can bring $75 to $150 or more, depending on condition and severity. Clipped planchets are also known from this year, with missing crescent-shaped chunks where the blank was improperly cut from the sheet of metal. These errors regularly sell for $100 or higher when authenticated. Even more valuable are the wrong planchet errors. Every now and then, a dime was struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. Imagine a Roosevelt dime struck on a cent planchet or even on a foreign coin planchet. These mistakes are rare and highly prized. A 1999 dime struck on a cent-sized planchet might weigh less than normal and look coppery red instead of silvery, instantly catching a collector's eye. Such a piece could easily sell for $2,000 to $4,000 at auction, depending on the error and condition. At major auctions, 1999 dime errors have pulled impressive results. Off-center strikes have sold for several $100s, while dramatic double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once with misalignment, have reached into the thousands. Proof error coins from 1999, especially those with missing layers or striking problems, are even scarcer and can generate intense bidding wars among specialists. What makes the 1999 dime so engaging for collectors is the timing. It was minted at the very end of the 20th century, the same year the U.S. Mint launched the wildly popular 50-state quarters program, which captured the nation's attention and brought millions of new people into coin collecting. While quarters stole the spotlight, the dime quietly continued with its traditional design, almost unnoticed. That contrast adds a layer of historical interest, because while everyone was rushing to collect quarters, sharp-eyed numismatists who paid attention to dimes had the chance to scoop up fascinating errors and high-grade pieces that others ignored. Picture this. A person in 1999 gets a handful of change, glances at the dime, and tosses it into a drawer without a thought. Years later, their child or grandchild examines that same dime more carefully and realizes it's a dramatic off-center error or a double die variety. Suddenly, that overlooked 10-cent coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, simply because someone took the time to look closer. That's the magic of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, and it rewards curiosity and attention to detail. The 1999 Roosevelt dime is a coin that represents both continuity and hidden surprises. Continuity, because its design carried on a tradition that began in 1946, honoring Roosevelt and representing American ideals of liberty and strength. Hidden surprises, because of the errors and varieties that slipped through the minting process and now command premiums far beyond face value. For collectors, this coin is a reminder that even the most ordinary change in your pocket has the potential to hold a story, and sometimes a fortune. So the next time you see a 1999 dime, don't dismiss it as just 10 cents. Look closer, check for doubling, inspect the edges, examine the alignment. Because just maybe, you'll discover that your everyday dime is actually a rare error worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. A piece of numismatic history that connects you to one of the most fascinating hobbies in the world.